reward or some kind at the end of it, don't give a damn.
I don't call it reward.
No, it's
about being able to do something.
So
it's a demonstration and an application.
But I don't get a certificate, that's fine, or I don't get a certificate, it impacts me negatively.
Oh, I'm learning so much. May I? Just two words. Intrinsic or extrinsic motivation, what are we talking here? Because some people want the clock on the wall.
To be able to do it.
Others just want to do it because it's part of their dignity in doing a good job. But how do we differentiate?
But that's still.
But then we've got to tap both. We've got to find the intrinsic and the extrinsic.
Absolutely. But that's
cool.
The objective of what you want to achieve to me is foremost.
People want to solve it.
You can't go into something not knowing what in the distance there's something.
But that's solution. But that's solution. So right now the challenge is, part of the challenge is that one, we don't know, or in our experience, is what we're offering intrinsically, intrinsic or extrinsic motivation to our people. We don't know that. That's part of the challenge. Because we're offering the final thing we offer, be it certificates, for some people, it's hugely motivating, for others, it actually pushes them away from performance. It's part of the challenge. We'll come to the solution just now. That's great.
Okay.
Cool.
Then our next one was creating practical online learning pathways to reinforce informal experiential learning. So when you actually design the intervention, you create the pathways with assignments, with ideas, with things to try.
How does it work for you? As a group, have you done that?
I'm experimenting with it.
Okay, and how's it working?
I'm designing one. I haven't implemented yet.
So have any of you actually experienced this practical online learning pathways to reinforce informal, note this word informal learning. Sorry, I'm just making notes, I know it's coming just now. Experiential learning. Have any of you done that as a group? Actually experienced that?
Yes, I've done that.
How's it working?
I was in the working environment. I've taken graduates, I've taken them through a year of learning and found that it was a huge experience both from the corporate side and from the learner side, because there were things on both of them that they didn't know and suddenly found out they either liked or didn't like.
Okay, so there was an experience. What you're saying is you've done this, you've created informal learning opportunities
and formal
over a period of time for the learner and the managers. So there's been a dual engagement, and he said the experience has been that people have learned and kept and learned and dumped.
Yes.
That's what you said. Fabulous. Can you just that? Lovely. Okay, next one.
Okay, the next one is to create an online community, a blog kind of thing, where people share their learning, they answer one another's questions, and generally people get the opportunity to explore how they've implemented.
Have you done this? Can I tell you what the success rate of this is? 1%.
Yeah, really?
Yes.
Only 1% of people return back to a liked page. Go for it.
I have experienced it in different settings, and when we had post-learning feedback, one of my big drives was that they would proclaim a connectivist learning model, but everything in the learning was so knotted. So you become this lone voice, you post a question based on learning that you inferred out of the content, and nobody wants to engage because of the fear of being wrong.
That in terms of lone voice.
Not because they have something to say, because they're scared that what they have to say might not be significant or doesn't contribute.
Where it does work, and I've seen it in deep mining, deep shaft mining. For example, it works if there's a problem to solve. I agree. So when you start talking about community, talking about community contributing and sharing ideas, it works if there's a very specific problem to solve, and then the community will engage.
But what does it look like? What does it look like?
Linked to the content.
So you said it works in that scenario. What did it physically look like in terms that it worked?
Okay, people across the world actually engage in terms of ideas, suggestions, solutions around the problem. But you see the differences here. It wasn't program driven.
Okay.
So
solution driven.
Yes.
Solution,
so when you
program.
start thinking about these kind of things, it's not, and that's GIBS' problem. The program driven.
Well, we'll come to that later. We'll sort that out in a moment.
Yes.
So, okay, cool. Lovely. Great to write it down.
But doesn't that again tie in with my boyfriend's words, Sir Ken Robinson? The on
It's coming. It's coming.
non-linear learning at the point of need.
Next one. Please read the next one.
Love that non-linear learning point of need.
Because you've written it down.
We suggested something like a focus group rather than a survey or a questionnaire, so that post-learning we could explore what people used, what they applied, what else that they need that they didn't get, and how you have they implemented things. And how
Okay, and then the application is, anybody applied that?
Yes.
Effectiveness of it?
Effective. Great if you include reflective practice techniques.
Okay, what's great though? Great that 3 people get better at it, great that 5 people get better, great that people, because does it take away from the
Is it
POE?
quantitative or qualitative?
I have no
Because for
idea.
one person it might solve the whole learning need that they've
reflective
got.
practice.
I'll show you, I'll tell you now what we
So-
did.
And it may share ideas with the community.
Yep.
So if someone takes something away from it, it might not be
Techniques.
as intense an issue to them as the
Yeah,
person who's
yeah.
sharing it. Then it works.
Pick up the,
What we did, we created the forum for the communities to collaborate on that and then to share the reflections and the reflective techniques. So what I'm literally after what has happened. People told you, I tried what happened and it didn't work.
Yes.
And I tried this again. And because you built in the support system as part of the program, and you teach them how to reflect in terms of whatever people don't know they've learned. So we built in the reflective techniques as part of it, and then we asked them, what have you done? What has worked and didn't work for you? Not what you learned about the content.
okay,
What
very
is the
good.
problem you
What
solved?
did it do?
Sorry,
What
can I
problem
just
did you
ask,
solve?
if you take in content and this program is going to be a long-term one, do you take those techniques and that feedback and build it into the revisions?
You start from the beginning and to take people through a reflective process. And remember, reflective is critical thinking, it's the emotional.
So Natasha, I'm just,
So you got, so from, if you build that in, then it works.
so I'm just focused now because that's a solution. Discuss it in more detail because
Sorry.
the question you asked, no, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm really stopping the solutions to bring it back to what's actually going on here because you can start, I'm starting to see groups form up there. Please write, it's important to write it down and then you count on her at tea time and you walk with her every bit of down that she has.
Can
Okay?
I please share an
You
experience?
please go ahead. Yes, that's important. Did you write it down?
They
Okay,
said,
go
yeah,
ahead.
something in the
You want
chat.
to
Yes.
In the forums, one of the courses that I did online, there was no incentive, it was actually punitive. If you don't participate in the forum, you don't get the extra 5% on your course, which created
Huge.
resistance.
Yep.
Plus, my big question is, how far do we go in instructional design to accommodate not learning styles, because according to Ruth Parker, there's sufficient evidence it doesn't work, to personality styles. Some people do not have the need to be extremely verbal or expressive in a course. They want to integrate and then use it for themselves.
Very good.
I've been told to shut up more than once.
So that's what people are afraid.
Yeah.
I love it. It's really, really
It's just a
good.
question.
But can you see how this is starting to, there's a lot of discussions that you have, and even in terms of solutions, when it comes down to practice application, well, we've got a good idea we haven't done it, and when we have done it, geez, it didn't work out the way we expected it to. So, it's another one.
Okay. The next one is action learning assignments after development interventions. And a nice example that we had here was in a graduate development program, setting up mini learnerships in all the different parts of the business.
Okay, so that's progressive. Mindset, what you've done is you've allowed people to progress with small bite-sized chunks, rather than going, here's the final outcome, good luck, and go and do it. And you say that you've experienced it worked.
Yes, when you do take graduates and you put them into areas
Yes.
of it,
Yeah, expertise.
experience, yes, and expertise.
Yes.
Absolutely it does.
Powerful, powerful.
Agree.
Okay, next one. Keep going. Sorry.
Okay. Then we said engage with the managers that the learners are going to work to. In other words, so that they know what support and challenges they need to offer, and then also what results that they can demand and what the person can achieve.
So my understanding of that, just to understand that when you say you get management involved, at what phase of learning? Where
Right
do
at the
they
beginning.
involved?
Right at the beginning.
Okay, so they
They
kind
are
of own
responsible
it.
for their
Okay.
employees and their work.
And do you find that then brings better results.
It does. But it's a process of understanding the concept. The language.
We're running out of saying running out of saying.
Yeah, there's a few links. Okay, that's fabulous. Okay.
Then we also said after the learning,
Yep.
we need a mentor,
Okay.
coach type person, but the relationship is driven by the learner.
Okay.
And then we need safe experimentation opportunities.
Safe environments.
Yes.
I'm going to put that with the manager and objective one. And I'll tell you why. Because when the manager and objective at this point, because we've experienced that when it happens, this happens. Go for it.
Can I just ask, management buy-in, what exactly does that mean?
Well, it means, yeah, it's relative, but it's about them saying, okay, I'm prepared to pay for this, but this is what I want out of it.
Okay, may I respond to that? I did a workplace coaching performance program or intervention with one of the big organizations in our country. Management said, yes, this is what we want, go for it. The feedback from the learners were when we had to implement this, we got resistance from the managers when it didn't align with their expectations of how things used to be. So what is the change management that is required in the mindset from the managers before? So what's the learning that management needs?
And don't solve it now. Don't solve it now.
Okay.
That's a good question. We'll come back to that.
It's exactly critical to the whole process. It's going to work.
Yeah.
Cool.
Then we used the word facilitating. We meant whoever
The person facilitating.
person facilitating the learning intervention, they have to manage the transition from the learning space to the workplace so that they can actually withdraw. So they've got to be enabling experiences.
Have you done that?
No, because this wasn't my idea.
Who's who's done that?
I've been involved in that facilitation process, and very often the managers get put into this role without understanding what skills are required.
Okay.
And it's up to the facilitator to take these expectation of the graduate and expectation of the manager. The facilitator needs to bring them together and then withdraw and watch it.
Have you not experienced, one of the experiences that when the facilitator and the manager don't own the learning at all, when the learner purely owns the learning, because what I've experienced, it doesn't matter who facilitates, it doesn't matter the managers, they want to own it and they'll do a bigger response.
Designed to go.
So when
that then speaks to intrinsic motivation.
Okay,
I don't care what goes on around me, I want it.
Okay, I'm going to put it with the motivation bit. Go ahead.
Okay.
No.
Our last point was about coaching. On the Wits Business School MBA, graduates, all graduates, do the coaching course there and then coach the students, and that's often an ongoing relationship.
Okay. So, and that works well.
And that works
So
really
it's somebody that I choose to connect with. I put it with the objective management one again, because for me it's part of when we dump the idea of management and get the idea of community or learning from who I want to engage with. That's me, and that's where the objective comes out. That's where it all kind of, because not even just from what I
As
can.
objectives, just sorry, I think
Yeah, no, it's bigger
that
than
is extremely profound from an experience.
Yeah.
You cannot outsource learning.
No, agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So we'll keep it with the objective. We'll use the objective for now.
Different, so and the experience for me is not the objective. What you're
Beyond
saying
that.
is so
Yeah.
profound. It's so beyond in terms of how we think
Yes.
about your thing about who owns it,
Yes.
where it belongs, and an outsourced model.
Can I recommend that after the break, whoever takes on the objective discussion, move it away from the objective being by the end of this course, you will be able to, and let's move it to the solution being, how do we redefine the objective in the minds of the learners? Let's answer that. So where's the word objective, please? Out the box. Much bigger than this little. Yes. Only if it's about experience.
Outcome versus competency. Outcomes-based learning is what's the current flavor of the month and the year and the decade is. What about competency-based learning?
Actually, occupational competence.
Yes, because even outcomes-based, I can do this and I can talk about it, but I haven't internalized that learning because I cannot prove to myself that I'm competent at what I'm doing. So there's no satisfaction.
Okay, and that's
So
progressive.
there's no sustainability.
Okay, so I'm going to jump onto that discussion right now with these two, and we already got there. The one challenge is the one thing that we're saying is that learning is linear. So basically what we spoke about was learning being linear, being that it's designed in a logical flow by the instructional designer. The learner learns module 1, module 2, module 3, module 4. They get the work-based and they don't think to apply module 3 first. So they want to start answering the POE from module 1 to module 2 to module 3, and because it's linear, that's what they understand, so it collapses. That's one of our experiences.
Yeah.
The other one is, which I think Henry was saying, is that I have an issue, no, we also do. I have an issue to solve now, but the program that I'm on, that's module 5. So learning is linear, not based on need. And we had that up here in terms of discussions, solution-driven, program-driven, non-linear. I'm going to talk about that and make it a topic in terms of linear programs, and that's what we have to solve. Yes, go for it.
Sorry, may I just interject at this point? May I rephrase that? Learning isn't linear. Learning provision currently is linear.
Yes, well, that's exactly what it is.
Because we need to also take the confidence that if learning is non-linear, there is actually no going wrong. But in instructional design, very often we don't scaffold it correctly. Meaning that there is some learning that if my point of need requires some other prior learning that I do need in order to achieve this task, I need to be given that information to create that expectation for myself, and this is my learning journey, which is still not linear.
And to this group, I'm really sorry that I'm hogging this group, that I'm not hogging this kind of stuff. It's 10:05. For those of you who are going to break, I don't want you to eat yet. So please pick up on that afterward. Okay, some of the other things we said, having to do the whole course looks good on paper. Carry on. We don't start.
My experience is just that from a learning practitioner perspective, we don't start at the point where work works. If we start from the point of studying what's the complexity level, what's the work, your business action, and it works great. If it's appropriate and applicable to you. So I agree with you, the experience is work.
So having to do the whole course looks good on paper. I put it with the motivation, the A motivation, the extrinsic, intrinsic, because I get the certificate. What we're saying is that actually does motivate some people. And for the other people, you can't give a damn. So in terms of that, we'll keep it in the motivation discussion around kind of the key areas. Experience shows that, this goes back to pre, during, and post. Henry was saying that in his experience, if you do really good pre-engagement, he says that he gets up to about 90% of people completing post-course work. So that's pre, so online communities, discussions, program.
That's maybe with objective and engaging managers.
Maybe even before that.
Okay, well, it doesn't matter where. We'll put it close, just in case we get to it. All right. Varying levels of content and quality. So what the discussion there was, people are afraid to engage online or on new platforms because the content, the quality of the content is varied, and they think if they have a bad experience, the rest of it's going to be bad. If they have had a good experience, the rest is going to be good, but then they have a bad experience and it pushes them away from learning. So varying levels, so that's content. That's very much a content driven. The content's not the problem. It's the way that content is delivered. So it's almost delivery. Okay. Sorry guys, we are out of time. I'd love to discuss this more, so I'm just
put it down.
Yeah, write it down and make the notes. The leave the POE to the learners, not driven by. Okay, so I'm going to link this one is going to link to this one as well. It's people's inability to drive themselves to complete. So basically what we said was the learner leaves the classroom, then there's no one to, it's all the it's only, they are afraid to engage without an e-instructor or a coach or a mentor. There's this fear that kicks in. And so what happens is, and that's almost linked to very levels of content. So if the content's too high for me, or too challenging, I don't know how to engage with it, I drop off.
That stands to reason that I shouldn't be in that course.
Perhaps.
Then my selection is incorrect because then my point of need is on a different learning level.
Yep. So we'll come to that solution. We'll come to that now. People love solutions. Learning styles are not developed for ways to learn. So it's learning methodology is designed one size fits all. That was the discussion. So
because we assume that being adults, we know how to learn. we've been taught in schools, we've not been taught or shown how to learn or to accept confidence that we're born learning beings. And what is learning?
Okay, lack of engagement, pre, during, and post. So this is from the, I'm going to put this here as feedback, online communities. No,
Engagement. You just spoke about now.
Yeah, where is that?
No, this one with the red.
With the red.
That one.
Learning styles are not developed for?
Yes.
Learning is linear?
Learning styles talks to different people and how they learn and if they can learn.
But this is more about pre-engagement.
Structure engagement, so it should be for the first.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay, and that's not so much about how we design, it's more about how we engage prior.
Absolutely.
Understanding who the people are, all that kind of stuff.
It's a
Yeah, so we spoke about when we assess prior to learning the person's competence before they come on, they know which part of the course they just need to do to learn to get through, and also know if they're on the right course.
And we need to measure their prior knowledge.
Yeah, so that's what.
Because some people want to go through an accelerated learning process. I
want to
need it
put
now,
it
I need to
as
apply
part
it.
of
I don't want to wait for all of this. Okay? I've got sufficient knowledge, I just need to build up and polish.
It's okay.
Where the other person wants or is needing the whole thing to be built up and say it's
Yes, absolutely. So please, in the second session, once you've got these things kind of grouped, you just have to understand what you're talking about again before you solve it. Because you're going to offer GIBS, progress, and solutions to all these problems, because it's the reason why people don't engage.
May I pose one question, which is not necessarily part of the pillar board? How many of you have experienced personal learners very bad instructional design or no instructional design?
What do you mean?
That the course that you are forced to do or that you have engaged in, that there's no instructional design happening there. So there's no learning by design, which causes chaos and frustration.
You get these books, time management, what, and you get the facilitator guide, and you get, I've seen that.
Yes. So there's no scaffolding, there's no progression, there's no reflection, there's no measuring where I was to where I'm going. Because I'm a firm believer in instructional design, systems design, or what they're calling now the learning designer or something, is that we need to start pondering these processes, because it's stuff that we're putting people through. We shouldn't be doing it to them, we should be creating experiences that they want more of.
So let's pick that up. Let's pick that up in the solutions. Sorry. I've just pushed this here. My learning is part of my KPIs. That's actually motivation. That pushes people away and it pulls people in. Where you go to this course because your KPI demands it of you. Some people actually want to and they engage. Other people are die.
It's around mental control.
Yeah. So I'm
Depends on where you are.
Yeah. I'm looking to the motivation side. Progress and mastery. What we're saying is that people, in our space, people tend to drop off because the goal is 2 weeks down the line, but they have to get through day 2. If they can just complete module 3 first, they progress, they get feedback, they get experience. I've done module 2, I've succeeded. It enables them to module 3 in our experience. But the problem is, or the challenge, what we're saying is there's not enough focus around the progressive POE of the learner. It's just too big, and one study school between another is too much time with not enough focus on what you're achieving. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. But often is in the development of that content or that purpose, because what will happen is it could either be led on by the first one, so you can only do module 3 once you've done level 1, because it gives you the principles or the basics, or it's completely, so you have to understand what the learner wants to be able to do level 3 before level 1.
We'll come to solutions just now, because that I do disagree with that slightly with experience and research, but not for now. So we'll come to just now. We got to finish these. Write your thoughts down. Lack of confidence and reliance of a sage.
Sorry.
Where was the one we spoke about with the sage, with the facilitator being the people rely on the facilitator post too much. That or you also not listening.
Well, that you can blame on the outcomes-based learning system.
I don't blame it on, I'm just positioning it. Okay. Somebody spoke about creative learning. As a chair, facilitator management. Okay. I'm gonna put this here. This comes down to discussion, lack of confidence. So when the learners leave, you've got these great methodology, but they're afraid to try it. So assumptions that adults know how to learn and self-learn. What was that?
I would, in fact, may I suggest that actually at the schools are all of them.
Well, you may suggest it. I'll put it there.
Yes.
Sure.
That's it for me.
Okay, this is Michal motivation. Do you know Michal Csikszentmihalyi? His flow model in terms of motivation. Okay, something to research if you don't. All about learning. The platform where the content sits. Who's the content? Learning. The instructional design. This comes down to instructional design. Creating practical art. Okay. So that's about, have you put the content on the right platforms? So what we've experienced is when we put it on the right platform, people engage up to 90%, completely POEs, when they have the right platform in which to engage on. So one of our experiences is that when you put it on Twitter, bad idea in South Africa, because people in South Africa don't use Twitter, they use Facebook. So rather than put it on Facebook, you get far bigger return. Fatigued and tired. I'm tired of trying the same thing over and over again. I'm tired of the same old training way. I'm tired.
What does Einstein say about insanity?
You're insane, yes. That would go. I'm going to put that under motivation, fatigue and tired, because then you have to have external motivation to. Alright? Okay, that I'm not going to put up because that just has way too much explanation. I drew it, that's right. The why am I here? Waste of time and RPL. You know, I'm coming for 4 days, I only need half of day 3. Why am I here for 4 days? And why do I have to pay for 4 days? That's ridiculous.
May I interject here, because this is a burning point. Then again, is my platform not incorrect? Because maybe my expertise is of such nature that an online platform would have been totally cool.
Perfect. And we would know that by pre-assessment if we have the right objective in place, whatever the objective looks like, whether it be self-driven or management. Regio approach until the discussion ends. That's design. Now that was really...
That's cool.
That was... You want to know more about that?
That's super cool.
Is it? Lizelle. Sorry. Lizelle spoke about this Regio approach. Hunt it down. That's freaking awesome. The information learning already in place. It's not measured in terms of a program. Okay, so this is... Okay, so what we say, what the experience here, and this is what Letitia was saying, is that there's... and Corné was, there's a lot of informal learning that's taking place, which is why I circled it here, some informal learning. That's taking place. There's a lot of informal learning taking place historically, in our experience, that we don't draw on. So now, I mean, like if you want to do an MBA, you have to do a program on strategy. Really? I mean, you've done strategy for 15 years in the business. Why do you have to go learn about Michael Porter again?
Well, you're running your own business. You don't have an MBA, and you've been surviving for so many years.
Exactly. You made it through the recession. So,
and now I'm really on my side. It's because I think that we sometimes don't distinguish between education, learning, and development. Our issue is not education.
No, it's a certificate.
It's the learning.
We don't have time. The big problem people don't solve. They don't complete. I don't have time to complete. I'm going to link that to here, to this pre-assessment, understanding the learner in terms of who they are.
Maybe can allocate time to learn.
Yes, absolutely, and maybe learning comes down to design again. This talks about the environmental support, the coaching, the managers, which I put here as well. Line manager, Jesus, quite a bit. Any more? Two. In like 5. Oh my gosh, that was the quickest one. Energize the money.